Look, I get it, right? The whole debate on whether or not Pokemon should be 2D or 3D has existed before time and space at this point. But you know how Pokemon games are right now. They're not in the greatest spot. I'm just saying that they could be so much better, especially considering with how Scarlet and Violet turned out. I feel like modern Pokemon games always have one big aspect of their game that they struggle with so much, and 9 times out of 10, the thing that they struggle with is really detrimental. For Pokemon Sword and Shield, it was the lack of a good story. I don't think anyone would disagree with me on this. The Sword and Shield story was literally one of the worst Pokemon stories we've ever gotten. But with Scarlet and Violet, they cooked with the story at the expense of the game itself. You know the whole drill: bugs, glitches, crashes, stutters, frame drops, all that jazz. I think the only good Pokemon game that actually ran well and also had a really good story was Legends Arceus. But come on, man, 1 out of 4? Really? You're gonna go 1 out of 4. Which brings me back to my main point, right? Should Pokemon go back to 2D? No, I don't think so. I'm not even joking when I say that. What, you thought you're gonna have to wait till the end of the video to hear my answer? Nah, no you won't. But there's a reason why I say that. I'm not saying that because I think 2D is worse than 3D or 3D is better than 2D. I just think a 3D Pokemon game could work. Legends Arceus and Pokemon Colosseum have both proven that 3D Pokemon games can work, so I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that Pokemon could release a spin-off Pokemon game that has pixel graphics. So, bear with me for a bit. Pokemon has released a ton of Pokemon spin-off games, most of which aren't even that good. But what if Pokemon just made a spin-off game based off of their old Pokemon games in pixel graphic format? For example, Pokemon Black and White remakes. Pokemon Black and White are, to my knowledge, the only Pokemon games that are 2D pixel graphic games with 3D elements mixed in. And let me tell you, for Pokemon games that came out in 2010 to 2012, they look really good. And with the power of the Switch 2, this could look 10 times better. But look, I'm just saying, if they went with the chibi route with BDSP, I think they could definitely go with pixel graphics again with Black and White. Old Black and White fans would be ecstatic about this because, you know, it's just black and white but looking 10 times better on the Switch 2 while also bringing in some old faces. And what I mean by old faces are people that are not Pokemon fans anymore and have left the series because, you know, it's just not hitting the same anymore. But whether that's true or not doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that they would bring back old Pokemon fans and new Pokemon fans. Just imagine the amount of hype that would generate over a 2.5D modern Pokemon game. I feel like we can all agree that there would be a lot of eyes on this game. But then that begs the question, would a modern pixel graphics Pokemon game do well in modern? Yes, it would. There are 3 things you guys have to realize. Number 1, pixel graphics is its own video game genre. And for those of you who have never touched the genre, let me tell you that it is still fairly popular to say the least. Just to list a couple: Stardew Valley, Undertale, Octopath Traveler, Chrono Trigger, Sea of Stars, all incredibly great and popular games. If you guys think that pixel graphic games aren't popular enough in today's age, I don't know what to tell you, man. You just gotta play more games. And number 2, just for the people that think that pixel graphics wouldn't work for Pokemon, Pokemon started off as a pixel game, not for Generation 1, not for Generation 2, but for Gen 3, 4, and 5. So to say that pixel graphic games just wouldn't work for Pokemon anymore is a crazy statement to say when literally any generation before Gen 6 are still some of the most successful Pokemon games of all time. And last but not least, it's freaking Pokemon. Pokemon released Scarlet and Violet in that unfinished state and people still bought it. So for the Pokemon Black and White remakes to be in a pixel graphic state should not affect the sales in any way, shape, or form. I would not be surprised in the slightest if the game hit 10 million copies. Between the nostalgia factor and the modern day look they would give the pixel graphic format, I think it's guaranteed to be successful. Just imagine a Pokemon game with Octopath Traveler visuals. It feels too good to be true. But then again, let's take it a step further. Why are we stopping at just Black and White remakes, right? Let's go even further and establish a pixel graphic Pokemon game with its own region. Just a full-blown new Pokemon experience as a spin-off on the Nintendo Switch 2. Now back to the topic on how a Pokemon pixel graphic spin-off game would look like and what they could do to actually make it, you know, good. Now because it's a spin-off, I don't think they should take the normal gym leader route. Instead, Instead, they should do what Journeys did in the Pokemon anime. You see, instead of having Ash go through the entire gym challenge again and garner enough gym badges to enter the Pokemon League, they did things differently this time. Instead, they had Ash battle a bunch of different trainers around the world to increase his rating. And if his rating was high enough, he could then enter the Pokemon League, which I think could work very well in this Pokemon spin-off. I think it could work considering how different it is from the typical gym challenge format. This entire game should be different considering it's a spin-off game that branches off from the mainline series. It's supposed to be fresh from a visual perspective and a gameplay perspective. And speaking of gameplay mechanics, I think it should just be a traditional Pokemon game. Catch a bunch of different Pokemon, train them up, evolve them, the whole shtick. And as for the story, just have it be different. Don't even add an evil villain team. Instead, just make the villain a Pokemon. Similar to Shadow Mewtwo and Pokémon Tournament, just have a Pokemon with extensive amounts of lore. And although that sounds basic, I don't think the story should primarily focus around a villain team or saving the world, but rather be a coming of age story. Have the saving the world part a subplot and have the actual character growth as the meat of the story. There's only one Pokemon game that has mastered character writing, and funny enough, it's the Pokemon Black and White series. Now, I'm not going to give you a deep dive on why Pokemon Black and White's character writing is so freaking peak. End's existence should just tell you everything. They could definitely do something just like that with this new Pokemon spin-off game. I 100% believe that. Besides the main Pokemon villain, they don't have to actually introduce any new Pokemon because it's a spin-off. So all they have to work on is the story and the characters. So, should Pokemon go back to pixel graphics? Yes and no. No as in they shouldn't revert the mainline series back to pixel graphics, but yes as in they should make a spin-off Pokemon pixel graphic game. I made this video primarily because I just finished a pixel graphic game called Until Then, and it was a masterpiece. It's a coming of age story. I highly recommend you guys play it. But I just imagine what Pokemon would look like in that style. And I just thought to myself, holy crap, that would be absolutely peak. But guys, what do you think? Should Pokemon make a Pokemon pixel graphic spin-off game? Do you think they should revert all the way back to pixel graphics for the mainline series? What do you think of that idea? And do you think pixel graphics should return in some way, shape, or form? Let me know in the comments below because I do respond to a lot of my comments. And if you guys watch my videos on a regular basis, just make sure you're subscribed because it helps me out. But that's all Yuki wrote, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.